Hello, welcome. Thank you for pressing play. I'm a man called Dave, and I'm here at the juice bar to do a little Zoom presentation. I've got my water. I'm almost done with it. So this is going to be quick because I don't want to talk too much. I don't have a lot of water. I'm going to make this very fast. Also, full disclosure, I totally made another video and I forgot to press record. So now I'm starting over. I didn't make the video. I thought I pressed it, but I didn't. And that's what happened. So here I am. So I'm going to do my favor. I'm going to try to do as good as I did the first time, even though it was amazing. And my point is to go over the documents that I sent to the court after my traffic violation on Saturday. I made a big stink in Coos Bay, and also I'm not sorry about it at all. I'm gonna keep, fighting against unlawful orders and these police officers, they're policy officers. They're enforcing policies. Oregon revised statute is not law. The law says do no harm to others. It says that if there's no valid claim of trespass or property damage or violation of another man or woman's rights, or somehow I damage them or harm them, then there's no crime. And if there's no crime, then why am I being harassed? Why am I being extorted? Why am I being, forced to go to court and being brought up on these charges as the bank term, so it's debt. I'm being forced to have a debt, and that is illegal under contract law. If there's no contract, then how can there be a debt? You can't say I owe you for the work that you did on my property when you've never been to my property and you've never done any work. And if you can't prove that I hired you under some kind of contract, then you can't prove that I owe you any type of debt. And that's basically how it works. At least that's how it should work. But the collection agents and the court agents and all these agents of all these corporations are basically engaged in extortion and coercion and human trafficking. And that includes the city of Coos Bay, the county of Coos, and the Coos County Circuit Court. And this is not an official claim that I'm making. This is not meant for legal advice. This is just my life and the story that I'm telling you about my life. I'm a man called Dave, and I'm sojourning on the land in search of peace and prosperity. And honestly, it's hard to find. So my goal is to end human trafficking, and my friends are worried about my safety. They've suggested that I don't make this video. They've suggested that I don't do these things out in public, but I'm going to change my identity for the purposes of this video to remain safe. I'm not going to change my voice, but I am going to turn my hat around, and now I'm just Dave. So if anybody asks, Dave. And the most common name probably in America is Mohammed, second name, Dave. And also I'm going to share my screen. So we're going to go over some of these documents that I sent to the Coos County Courthouse. And the first thing is this affidavit of personal status. As you can see in the screen right there is affidavit of personal status. Notice to agent is notice to principal. Notice to principal is notice to agent. I'm the implied surety for the alleged debt, man called Dave. And also my full family given name is David Anthony of the Zaragoza family. I am the living beneficiary. And this is just me, my attempt to establish my jurisdiction. And I want everyone to know who I am. They want to claim I'm a defendant. They want to claim that I'm a respondent, or they want to claim that I'm a driver. And I'm certainly not going to allow them to make any fictitious or fraudulent claims. So my declaration of self-determination, which is a right that we have under God, I, a man, am not the property of another man, woman, or corporation, nor will I ever be by way of implied consent or tacit agreement. You can take that to the bank. And that's what I'm doing is I'm learning all of the tricks of their trade and how they obtain implied consent. So I used to work ambulance service. If I come upon an unconscious, unresponsive man or woman, I have the legal right to strip them of their clothing and inject them with pharmaceutical drugs. I can do all of these things under a license, under a doctor's license. I can perform acts upon a man or woman who would otherwise be illegal. And it's all under implied consent. But because I have a license, I'm able to do that which is otherwise illegal. So that's just in the medical field. This is in the real world where the policy officers, the police officers, they use implied consent to obtain your tacit agreement. So I'm withdrawing my tacit agreement in this documentation. Number two, I claim to be the implied surety. Now, what does that mean? Comma, pause. Implied surety is that my flesh and blood, my body, is implied surety for the alleged debt, because if I have a failure to appear, notice in court, then they have the legal right to come and take me to jail, which means that my body, my flesh, and my blood is the implied surety for the alleged debt. So this says that I claim to be the implied surety for the person or legal fiction you are attempting to contract. That's this all caps name right here, this David Anthony Zaragoza, without the hyphen, without the colon. Because, for example, on your digital clock, if you take out the colon, it's unclear what that figure is actually saying. It could be a number, it could be, who knows? It's up for interpretation. And that's what I'm attempting to do, is remove any possible interpretation. My goal is to make my standing, where I stand, my position, very clear. I, a man, have not consented to, or nor implied my consent to, nor fixed my wet signature toward any obligation or contract relinquishing my rights or property to another man, woman, or corporation. City of Coos, County of Coos, the Coos Bay Police Department, Circuit Court of Coos County, whatever, all of these down here, these capital letter names, these are corporations. Subway, McDonald's, Walmart, Burger King, Taco Bell. I don't go there. I don't want their products. I'm not asking for services. Please don't bother me. And that's how I see all of these things the same way. I'm sojourning on the land. I'm here searching for peace and prosperity, and all they're doing is attempting to extort my person, my legal fiction, and coerce me into contracting with them with fear, threats, intimidation of violence, and stealing my property. And all I did was basically just hold my ground. I staked my claim. I held my position, and I did not get my property stolen, and my person was not taken as a surety for the debt. So I'm forever and will be reserving all of my natural God-given unalienable rights, waiving none ever. I declare under penalty of perjury under the laws of the United States of America and the land and soil of Oregon that the foregoing is true and correct. This document executed on the 7th day of the 5th month in the year of our Lord and Savior, 2024. Failure to rebut the facts stated in this trust document, because I did claim to be beneficiary, serves as tacit agreement and acquiescence from any man, woman, or person doing business as State of Oregon, County of Coos, City of Coos Bay, City of Coquille, Coos County Courthouse Circuit Court Clerk, that all stated herein be true. So that means that if they can't prove me wrong, then everything I just said is true. If I say that you're a half turkey, half man, and you cluck like a dog, you have to prove me wrong, especially if I have proof, and if I do have proof and you can't somehow disprove my proof, then my proof wins. And that's what affidavit ends up being, is truth in commerce. Okay, so now I'm going to stop this share. Oh, I was really close. Sorry about that. And then I'm going to go to page 2, because it does give them an opportunity to fix the right, or I'm sorry, the wrong that they've done. So my goal is to let them know that I'm not an expert in the law. However, I do know right from wrong. If there is any man or woman damaged by any statements herein, if she or he will inform me by facts, I will sincerely make every effort to amend my ways, and I hereby and herein reserve the right to amend and make amendments to this document as necessary, in order that the truth may be ascertained and proceedings justly determined. Nobody's ever responded to these affidavits in the way that I would hope that they do. Everybody has sort of halfway responded. Most of the paperwork that I get back from the court does not have a signature on it, and that to me is fraud. And obviously I've got my autograph. I put beneficiary. I went to the extra step to go to the bank and get it notarized. And this is just my intent. I'm just displaying my intent, my peaceful status, and I'm not trying to cause harm. I do want to be eventually left alone. And so then now the notice of liability, this part is one of my favorite parts because it puts them on notice of liability. Just like a slip and fall in the store or a dog bite or a car accident, there's always somebody who is going to be liable. Notice of agent is notice to principal. Notice to principal is notice to agent. Notice 3-day right of rescission and notice of liability to the circuit court clerk, Coos County Courthouse for 2 summons. I was detained and unlawfully imprisoned, and I wasn't free to go. So what do you call that? 749 and 804. Implied surety for the alleged debt, man called David-Anthony Zaragoza, common living beneficiary. Implied defendant is the all caps name. No plea shall be entered on behalf of the implied surety. For the filing of a plea without the consent of the undersigned is fraud and treason against this man. And then you can see I put another declaration of self-determination. I want to make it very clear to them my position and my standing, because that's how I maintain jurisdiction. That's my goal, is to obtain and maintain jurisdiction, because that's their goal. So we're just playing a game of court, and I don't want them to win. So what did I do? I wanted to share page number 2, the NOL. So there it is. So right here, notice of liability. And I put attention court clerk, circuit court clerk, CBPD officer D. Henthorn. That's the first officer that pulled me over at 749. Coos Bay Police Department officer Jay Moeller. He's the one seen in the second half of the video, pulling me over for the very same exact reason. So failure to rebut the facts stated in this trust document serves as tacit agreement. It's the same thing, basically. It's very simple. I didn't go to any great lengths to make this one complicated. However, it's just the first round. This is just me sending the ball back to them, to their side of the court. And I am not going to share the video. However, I will, if you just give me like 3 seconds, I will just put it up here on the screen for you guys to see, because it is necessary for us to talk about these things. You know, I don't use this as legal advice. I don't recommend that anybody do what I am doing. And I'm going to just really quickly come here, pause it. And if we go here, share my screen.
Harassment. Is there anything that we talked about earlier that you didn't understand about driving and the tow policy? I'm not driving, sir. Is there anything you don't understand about what I said about traveling south? So you know, you'll be issued citations. Can you prove? Can you prove? Can you also read me my Miranda rights since I'm not free to go? Do you even know them? Hey, I've got like 5 officers here behind me. They're waiting for sheriff. I think they're taking me to jail. I love you. Bye. Out of here, and I don't feel safe.
All right, so here's the deal, okay?
No, there's no deal. There's no deal. And at the end of the day,
Tell me what's gonna happen.
no, at the end of the day, you guys are committing crimes.
My sergeant told you what was gonna happen if you drove.
Your sergeant is not my daddy. Your sergeant is not my daddy. Where's that paper that I gave you?
Your vehicle's getting impounded since you don't have a valid license and there's no insurance on it. Okay? So I'm giving you a lawful order to step out of the vehicle.
It's not a lawful order. I don't comply. I don't consent. It's not a lawful order. That's why I'm requesting a sheriff's deputy, sir.
All right, well,
I'm
help you right now.
I'm requesting a sheriff's deputy. If not, I'm going to ask you to call 911 because I fear for my safety.
Get out of the car.
Is that a loaded weapon on your hip?
I'm giving you a lawful order.
Is this a loaded weapon on your hip, sir? Because otherwise, this is duress. This is fear, intimidation. I am scared right now because you could break this window and you could shoot me if you wanted to, right? Because that's a lawful order that I'm allegedly not complying with. So how far are you going to take this, sir? Because this is duress. This is fear and intimidation.
So
This
my
is
Charger-
human trafficking.
It was gonna get impounded, right?
I'm not driving, I'm traveling. Driving is a commercial term.
Driving, the same thing.
No, I used to be an ambulance driver, sir. I worked for Bay Cities Ambulance. I was a driver. I had to have a license to drive.
So I'm giving-
Can't
I'm just gonna
impound my
show you.
car with me in it.
Real quick. How he walks in shame. He said that if I'm caught driving, they will impound my car. And that was the 14th time they threatened me. And I held my ground. I held my position. I did not give up. I did not give in. I was willing to get my window broken. I was willing to go the distance. I would have done whatever they would have participated in the whole entire act of taking me. And then now they just,
Fear, intimidation, you guys. We are being coerced.
okay, we are being coerced. I know that we are. And that's why I've got this disguise on. No one's going to recognize me. I'm not wearing my normal attire and my hat's backwards. So I'm safe. And I've got God's armor. I'm protected every single time. I can feel it. I know I am. So you guys, this is not meant for legal advice. I do not recommend anybody do what I'm doing, but do your research. Google, what's the difference between driving and traveling? As a matter of fact, put into your Google, do corporations have authority or jurisdiction over natural man? That's it. Men and women. Okay. Not person, not defendant or plaintiff or respondent or taxpayer or resident, any of these made up fiction legal names. Man or woman. Does a corporation have jurisdiction legally over a natural man or woman? Just Google it. That's all you need to know. So I love you. You guys have a wonderful night, and I will see you very soon. Bye.